for auto repair with personal care right here on The Source.
Veterans Helping Veterans USA. Call 352-433-2320. We help veterans and their families with limited financial assistance, counseling, employment referrals, and a food and clothing bank. You can help in making a huge difference in the veterans' lives we serve by donating food, clothing, household items, or direct financial assistance. All donations are tax deductible. Veterans Helping Veterans USA. 352-433-2320. Thank you for your attention and God bless America.
Get it for less at the DIY Home Center outlet. Get top quality real wood cabinets the same or less than the big box stores are selling the cheap stuff. And that's not all. Drywall screws big box stores are $6.47 a pound. At DIY only $4.99. Plus DIY has the largest selection of mobile home parts and accessories anywhere. From carpet to doors, get the DIY supplies you need for less. The DIY Home Center outlet. We are your building material closeout store. 2191 Northwest 10th Street, just 2 miles east of I-75.
Keep up with what's going on in the downtown area with Ocala Downtown Newspaper. Delivering thousands of newspapers to businesses in the downtown area, Ocala Downtown is there to keep you informed. They even have Tom's Picks, a free referral for people who are looking for a company to do work for them. Tom's Picks will refer the company that fits your needs, and all we ask in return is that you tell them where you heard about it. It's simple. For more info, just call Tom's Picks, 352-804-1223, and pick up your copy of the Downtown Ocala newspaper today.
And now read Ocala Downtown Newspaper online.
It's Monday. Not sure how you did it, but you actually survived an entire 2 days without hearing from Tom. Good job to you. And once again, good luck.
Welcome back to Ocala Talk Monday. By the good folks at Penn Flooring, Palm Garden Health and Rehabilitation Center, and Just Shipped. Galen, something happened over the weekend that's got my blood boiling. And it's a cowardly act. And I talked to you about it in the break. People don't know we can communicate during the break. So I wanted you to know, to be aware of what had happened. Right near my home, I was going out to meet some friends. My wife and I were meeting friends out Friday night, going to a local establishment. And we did the responsible thing. We knew we'd be having adult libations. So we called Uber to come pick us up, take us from the house to the establishment and then back home, as you should do. You should never drink and drive. And this cowardly reason, I can only surmise that this cowardly reason is the reason why you should take Uber and never drink and drive. About a half mile from my house, right near 25th and 326, a young lady was killed, Kimberly DeLeon, 27. She had just returned the day before from Indiana back to her home here in Ocala. She was hit and killed by a car that the state troopers say is, they believe it was a dark Hyundai Elantra that should have extensive damage to the windshield and the hood. The reason they don't know for sure is she was skateboarding in a very dark area of 25th Avenue right before you get to 326. But she was struck and killed. The eyewitnesses said the car hit her, stopped, looked, saw that she was laying in the road, and then sped off. To me, wow. Hit and run is as cowardly as you can get. And this woman died. This happened about 8:45. She was pronounced dead on the scene at 9:03. And here's a person that is no longer with us, and the FHP is trying to find who killed her. But with a hit and run, it's one of these difficult, especially in the dark night. There was no tag number. They believe it was, a launcher because of some of the things left at the scene. Headlamp, glass and everything. But is there a more cowardly act than this kind of act? And cowards aggravate the hell out of me.
That's pretty terrible. In your mind, all you can think of is there had to be the driver was impaired or afraid or driving on a suspended license or something.
Dare I say illegal?
Yeah. Something was there. You just don't know why he wouldn't stop. It's not like they didn't know they hit someone.
No, they stopped and saw they hit someone and drove off.
Exactly. Yeah, it's pretty terrible.
It's just, and to happen.
Pretty terrible.
And I know it's terrible wherever it happens, but to be that close to my house, because you just don't think about, I I hope it wasn't one of my neighbors. And now I've been driving around my neighborhood and all, looking at cars and stuff, seeing if is there a Hyundai Elantra in here? Has it got a busted headlight? You know, it just, I guess I can't wrap my head around how one human can do that to another human, but you know, humans murder people all the time, and I can't wrap my head around that either. So it's very cowardly to me, and I just
No doubt about that. No doubt.
Just to leave somebody. I mean, that's a human being that was just left there in the road to die, and you drive off. I mean, I don't know who it was that hit him, but I hope it wasn't like a nurse or something that drove off because they had been out at happy hour with their friends and got a little impaired. And, you know, it's just, I feel for the family here. I'm going to delve into it more later in the show, but it's just, cowards. I have no use for cowards, and this is a very cowardly act.
Yeah, I think you've said everything there is to do about it. I don't know.
Look, if you have any
what do you do? I hope they can find him.
Yeah, if you have any information, the Highway Patrol says contact them. They're looking for a vehicle between 2011 and 2013. It is a Hyundai Elantra. Had damage to the windshield and the hood. It is also missing a fog light on the passenger side. So, damaged or missing fog light on the passenger side. So, if you see that vehicle, contact Florida Highway Patrol. And by the way, that is a very dark area of that road. There's been at least 2 other fatal crashes. One of them also a hit and run in the last 2 years along that piece of northeast. Once you get to where the street that I live off of, once you get to Northeast 63rd Street, from Northeast 63rd to 326, pitch black after dark. I mean, when you have to use your bright lights to illuminate things, or you would not be able to see on that road. It is really, really that dark. And they were skateboarding in the center of the road without any kind of gear on that would, you know, show bright when lights hit it and everything. So I understand that they weren't doing the safest thing in the world, but once you strike them, now you got to stop. That once you drove off from that crash, that takes away any kind of non-safety that the 2 people that were skateboarding were doing. That takes that and makes it immaterial because you drove off. So I hope
unbelievable.
I hope this person is caught and brought to justice. But if you have any information out there, folks, give the Florida Highway Patrol a call. In the hit and run death of Kimberly DeLeon Friday night in the area of 25th Avenue just before you get to 326. Galen, a lot of Americans were cheering this morning. I watched Fox News, and they were showing watch parties where people were cheering. Americans in groups were cheering as the U.S. women were defeated 1-0. Penalty kick in the 75th minute gives Canada the win, 1-0. A lot of people, I had a lot of friends of mine say it's very difficult for me watching and these were people that played soccer, like my ex-wife who played college soccer and all. She put out on Facebook this morning, it's very tough for me to see the American women lose, but at least Megan Rapinoe doesn't get a gold medal. And I think a lot of people were having a tough time. I know people that I talked to this weekend said, you know, it's tough. I want America to win, but I want her to do bad. And it's just such a backlash over her continued stance to kneel anytime the national anthem is played. And there's a meme out that goes, you know, in the Jet Foxworthy thing, you know, that you might be a redneck it goes, if you kneel for social justice while your African-American teammate next to you stands, you might be an idiot. And,
there's nothing wrong with that.
You know, and you being a serviceman who protected the right of Megan Rapinoe, by the way, to kneel. We've talked about this numerous times, you and I. You as a serviceman believe that you protect the Constitution. That was what you swore to uphold. And the Constitution allows her to do what she's doing, whether you like it or not.
Absolutely
but I was
correct.
I was surprised at how many people were elated that the U.S. women are only going to play for the bronze medal.
Yeah, and let's see if they can win. Because I have a feeling they're going to really, really play terrible.
Oklahoma, Boise State. That's what I'm looking for.
That's right. That's exactly right. That's a good call.
That's what I'm looking for. Oklahoma, Boise State.
Yeah, I'm curious as to how it all shakes out. That's for sure.
But I understand the angst people have. But they're like, she better not kneel. Kneeling is a disgrace. And that's, everybody has, I know most people have that opinion, but once again, that pesky little piece of paper called the U.S. Constitution allows her to do exactly what people are upset about.
Oh, of course. Yeah, I don't think anybody, I think we're past that in this whole thing, Tom.
I've talked to a lot of people that aren't past this.
Well,
they're like,
I mean, they have every right to do it.
She better not walk in this bar. I'll punch her in the face. Grown men said that they would punch a woman in the face because she's kneeling. And I'm like, really? Really?
I mean, I think everybody believes they have the right to do it. But, yeah, if you're going to be punching anybody for kneeling, then you're missing the point of what we fought for in this.
If you would punch anybody in the face for doing what the Constitution grants them to do, you might be an idiot.
Yeah, it's your problem, not hers. You don't have to like it, but that's okay. In their mind, they don't want you to like it.
And by the way, I hate it.
What they feel.
I hate it.
I think it's terrible. Yeah.
But she has the right by that constitutional, paper that she has the right to do it.
And I fought for that right, and I completely appreciate it. I don't agree with it, but they deserve that right. So, yeah.
I saw people cheer. I never thought I'd see people cheering for the Americans to lose. But
this is an easy team not to like. And you know the problem is, Tom? We only hear from one person on that team. Right. And so Megan Rapinoe has become for the voice of the 25. I think there's 25 players on that team. She has become the face of U.S. soccer. You know why? Because that's what she wanted. And apparently her teammates are comfortable with it. So because she seems to be calling all the shots, and we don't hear from anybody else.
I do like candidness, though, at the Olympics. And if you want candid, you can't get any more candid than the bronze medal winning Canadian team in the 400 medley relay. Sydney Pickerham, I bet you haven't heard of this girl, but she swam the breaststroke for the Canadian team, who won bronze, by the way. And in the interview on Canadian TV, when she asked her what emotions were going through her as she was swimming her leg, as she realized she looked at it, because they could see where other swimmers are, and she realized that they were in the midst of this and could win a medal on live television. She goes, I was absolutely something myself. And it starts with SH. She said that on live TV. And I mean, the candor, what were you thinking? I was absolutely pooping myself. That's
pretty great.
You can't argue with her candor there, can you?
Not at all. Not at all.
And that shows you that even bronze medals to somebody, bronze medals means you're the third best in the world. That, everybody goes, well, second place, first loser. In the Olympics, second and third place means there's only one person on the planet of 7.5 billion people that are better at you at that task. So it's not bad to finish third in the Olympics. And she was very candid about how happy she was. She was absolutely pooping herself.
That's pretty great. That's pretty great. It's not as good as the U.S. It's not as good as the U.S. swimming team that came in second. And they're like, well, there's no doubt that the people who won were doping.
Oh, yeah.
Talking about the Russians.
Yeah. Yeah, they finished second. Go, well, we finished first of the clean teams.
Yeah, that was pretty good, too. I thought that was hilarious. Yeah, that was pretty funny.
These Olympics have been have they fallen flat? I mean, you hadn't watched them, so you don't know whether they've fallen flat or not. But you've seen some of the news coverage, and I just it seems like it's just a fallen flat once again it's because there's no crowds. I was watching the Japan USA baseball game today, this morning a little bit while I was getting ready for work, and it was like I was in the baseball bubble again last year where there were no fans and it was boring, and you could hear managers that yell things at umpires that kids under the age of 6 or 8 or 10 or 45 shouldn't hear being yelled at umpires. So can we just move on to 2024 and be ready for that?
Sure, why not? I just don't think I don't think the Olympics will ever be what we think it's going to be.
I remember when we were kids and it was so great.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it wasn't that long ago, right? That it was great. It's just not great anymore.
It's just not. You have the world champion, and I think it has a lot to do with everything's televised now, because the world championships in every one of these Olympic sports are pretty much televised every year. So even though when we were younger, you only got to see gymnastics once every 4 years. You only got to see ice skating once every 4 years. You only got to see who the fastest man on the planet was once every 4 years. Now with the world championships are on TV, and all these kind. The U.S. championships are on TV, and the Nike Invitational at Oregon track and field championships are on TV. A lot of the Olympic sports aren't just Olympic sports anymore. You can see them every year. So I think that takes a little bit of the polish off of it as well.
No, it's become oversaturated, right? And then you add in it's whatever the time zone is, 13 hours difference between here and where the games are taking place. You see very few things live. Before you can even watch it, you already know the result. When we were growing up, that was just not possible, right? I mean, you had no idea. So it's, again, you think about, like, 1980 Lake Placid. There was rumors that the U.S. beat Russia, right, in the semifinal, but you didn't.
Nobody announced it on the news yet. Nobody announced it on the news or anything till after the game was, till after Al Michaels, till after you heard him say, "Do you believe in miracles?"
Yeah, but in today's world, it wouldn't be as big a deal.
I find
it wouldn't be the miracle that it became. Because there was this rumors, everybody watched it.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Certainly.
So, and guess what? It was the only thing on TV because ABC had the coverage, and everybody else was just putting some rerun on because you couldn't compete with the Olympics with the other two big channels.
Certainly. I remember my radio mentor, Buddy Martin, was working at the time, and he was for the New York Daily News, I think one of those New York papers. He was the sports editor, and he tells a great story how he was down in his hotel, and the hockey arena was up the hill from the hotel, and with about 8 minutes to go, he was like, "Oh, I probably should get up there." He had sent a beat writer up there, but now, because nobody expected the kids from America to win this, so now Buddy, he gets up there, he gets his press pass, shows people, but there's no room for him anywhere in the press room and all. He's literally up in the very top of the stadium holding on to a rafter so he can hold his body weight and watching the thing as it ends. He watched the last 2.5 minutes because everybody bolted to the arena because nobody believed it could happen, and here it was happening. So that's the kind of lore that lured us into the Olympics, and you just don't have those. Like somebody said, "Oh, well, the Dream Team in '92." That was really not, to me, a big story. I know it was the first time they could play. I know it was the first time. But was there ever any doubt that they were going to win the gold medal?
No, but that wasn't the story, right? The story was the fact that this was the greatest team ever assembled.
Oh, of course, yes.
You can make that argument, and I think it still holds today. is the greatest team ever assembled.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt, it is the greatest that played competitively. It was an all-star team that played for something that mattered. It wasn't just an exhibition game.
Correct. So it's the greatest team ever assembled, and that was the story.
Certainly. Oh, I understand what the story was, but in the Olympic realm, you never really thought.
And you wanted to, it was much watched TV because you wanted to see. You wanted to see Larry and Magic and Jordan all play on the same team.
Oh, of course you did. And
then you had the Charles Barkley circus on the side where he would just walk around in these towns.
And Spain loved him.
Would go nuts over him.
Spain loved him.
Of course.
But remember, if you watch the documentary about the Dream Team, it's also where Magic and Larry said, "We can't stop this. It's his game now." It's although you knew it was coming, those two stars finally at the Summer Olympics in '92 realized the baton needed to be tossed, and they no longer were they saved basketball. Larry and Magic saved the NBA. Remember, the NBA had just come out of a cocaine scandal. The NBA finals in 1979 weren't even shown on TV live. They were tape delayed. Okay? Then Larry and Magic come out after the 79 college game with the Indiana State Sycamores and the Michigan State Spartans, because Larry's hatred of Bobby Knight and his coaching style would not allow him to go to the Hoosiers, so he went to Indiana State from French Lick, Indiana, and they came into the NBA together, and it's not even arguable. They saved professional basketball.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's no doubt about that. There's none. And then Jordan took it to another level. But that 92 team, the Dream Team, took it to a global level. Up until then, it was really an American sport. After that, it became a global sport.
Certainly. And then the greatest game you never saw, they talked about in the documentary, was the practice game 2 days before the Olympics, before the competition started. They're in Barcelona, and Jordan picks his squad, Magic picks his squad, and they got after each other. And I mean, there was some hard fouls. There was some ugly words exchanged, a couple of heated exchanges. They got after each other pretty good. And everybody says the toughest game they played in that Olympics was that game nobody ever saw. It was a pickup game in the gym that Chuck Daly, when his coaching staff said, "Coach, no, let them play. Let them do this. This is perfect. This is the kind of thing we need to get them to where nobody's going to compete against them." And I wish that instead of 1992, it was 2002, because there would have been cameras everywhere, and we'd have saw that game. But we probably wouldn't have saw that game, because that game was so great because there wasn't cameras present.
Yeah, that's true. It would have been, it's always a little different. First of all, LeBron would have been in it, and if he got embarrassed, he wouldn't have allowed it to be released. So, let's be very clear about that.
Let's be very clear.
Again, it's but I think that Chuck Daly's hands were all over that team.
Oh yeah.
He knew when to get out of the way, and he knew when to push, and he understood every player on that team, right? And every player on that team had a defined role. And I think that's the difference. Greg Popovich could not coach that team.
Okay, let me ask you.
Could not have coached that
what
team.
You said. There's every player on that team had an assigned role. Was Christian Leitner's assigned role just to show up for team
Absolutely.
photos? Just show up for team photos?
Christian Leitner even said that. And again, Christian Leitner, you can make an argument that he's the greatest
college basketball player ever.
Of all time.
You can make that argument. You can make that argument because Dean Smith. You can make that.
Everybody's knows.
You can make that argument because Dean Smith did not allow any player to play more than 20 minutes at a time in any game. So, that's why you can make that argument. Because the greatest college basketball player ever was Michael Jordan, but he didn't get to play but 20 minutes a game.
No, not in college. He wasn't.
Oh, he would have been. They just wouldn't let him play.
He didn't have a senior year.
They wouldn't let him play.
No, you probably wouldn't be in the top 50 college players.
No, of course no. For his college career, he's I don't know top 50, but he's not in the top 25 for certain. He's for certain not in the top 25. I mean, I could
All right, he's not Kareem. Right?
Nope.
Kareem is the other person who's in that argument.
He's not Bill
He
Walton.
wasn't Bill Walton.
Yeah, he wasn't Bill
He's
Walton.
not Bill Russell.
Nope.
And he's not
Christian
the
Laettner.
Big O.
No, he's not Big O. He's not Christian Laettner.
So and we could go down the line.
He's not Larry Johnson. Larry Johnson at Las Vegas was very good.
Sure.
Some of those Las Vegas teams.
Larry Bird was a better college player. Pete Maravich
may arguably be the best college basketball player ever. And if he'd have stayed in the NBA, if he hadn't died prematurely, he may have ended up being the best basketball player, period.
No, that's not true. No.
Pete was really good.
No.
Pete was really
good.
good.
Magic. David Robinson, look what he did with Navy.
Yeah. He took a service academy way deep in the tournament.
Absolutely right. Yeah. So
Hey,
I
Galen.
don't know if Jordan's any of those guys.
Galen, where's the Bloodmobile today? We got about 20 seconds.
Bloodmobile today. We're at the Winn-Dixie there on North 441 and also in the Shores at the Walmart. $20 gift card for all donors, and we are in emergency need of all types. So please give blood.
Also on the Boulevard. You can find them on the Boulevard every day.
That's right. All day, every day.
Thanks, Galen. Talk to you tomorrow.
Bye, all.
We'll be right back after this timeout. This is 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, WOCA, The Source.
Broadcasting from the Ocala International Airport, this is WOCA AM, W242CA FM, Ocala, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Today in Ag News, from a Southeast Ag Network. Well, last week,
USA Radio News.
I'm Brad Bernards. Former President Donald Trump on Sunday accused legacy media outlets of continuously...
When it really counts, depend on the source for
evidence of election fraud, adding in a statement that, in the end, truth will win. The New York Times and others always insert a clause into their stories without evidence that the election was decided fraudulently. As usual, this is fake news, Trump said in a statement. Missouri Democrat Cori Bush slammed her House colleagues for adjourning for August recess without
it's time for Farm and Range headlines
of the eviction moratorium for renters. Bush is sleeping on the steps of the U.S. Capitol in an effort to appeal to her colleagues to extend the moratorium.
Their human dignity, and they deserve for the people that are paid to represent them to show up and do the work to make sure that they have their basic needs met.
She says she will stay there until something gets done. This is U.S.